There's nothing as fascinating in the world of treasure hunting as what's been found recently. Fortunately for us, what's been found recently encompasses a lot of very exciting, very valuable treasures. If we look back over the past few years, we've seen some truly magnificent treasures come to light, and we're going to take a look at some of the best of those treasures now. When the British cargo ship SS Garsopa was struck by a torpedo by a German U-boat during the Second World War, it crashed to the bottom of the sea with a cargo of solid silver bars on board. Now, after years of searching, the wreck of the vessel has been located by an American exploration company, and they believe that the 48-ton hull could be worth up to $77 million. The Odyssey Marine Exploration Company, which is based in Tampa, Florida, is especially proud of this discovery because it represents both the deepest and heaviest recovery of silver from a shipwreck in recorded history. What's left of the Garsopa eventually turned up over 15,000 feet below the surface, close to the coastline of Ireland, and thankfully the cargo had mostly been left undamaged by the violent end the vessel met with. The British government contracted the Odyssey Marine Exploration Company specifically for the task, and they'll get to share the spoils of the project between them. Tantalizingly, even though what's been found so far is worth so much money, the government thinks that it only represents 20% of what's still to be found from the cargo. The San Jose is probably the richest shipwreck in the world. The Colombian government would be able to verify that, but they're not telling anybody. That's frustrating because they're the only national government in the world that knows where the wreck is. The vessel went down when British ships and Spanish ships waged war off the coast of Colombia in 1701. Of all the ships the British sank that day, the San Jose was the most costly from a Spanish point of view. The vessel was a three-masted galleon vessel, piled high with precious jewels and gold from South America, destined for the treasury of King Philip V at home in Spain. Estimates of the value of the treasures on board at the time of the sinking range between $1 billion at the most conservative and $17 billion at the most optimistic. A Colombian survey team finally located the wreck in 2015 somewhere near the port of Cartagena. That's when an argument started between the Spanish and the Colombians. The Spanish say the treasure is theirs because it's on their ship. The Colombians say it's theirs because it's in their waters. Plus, the Spanish essentially stole it from South America anyway, and they had no right to it. The dispute is unresolved, and the valuables are still in the water. Somewhere off the coast of Somerset, England, is a shipwreck containing treasures worth over $1 billion. Or at least that's the rumor. People have been looking for the wreck of the Merchant Royal, an enormous 700-ton vessel, ever since it sank not long after leaving port in London in August 1641. At the time of her sinking, she was carrying 500,000 gold coins, 400 gold ingots, 500 bars of gold bullion, and large but unspecified amounts of jewelry, including gems and pearls. The loss was an economic disaster for England. The amount of treasure on board was said to be equivalent to around a third of the country's public funds. There have been tantalizing near misses when people have gone in search of the Merchant Royal, such as the discovery of 600,000 silver coins on the seabed in 2007, but still precious little sign of the actual wreck. The elusive nature of the vessel has given it the nickname the El Dorado of the Seas. Our most recent near sighting of it occurred in March 2019, when an enormous anchor was trawled by a Cornish fishing vessel. It's of the right age and design to have come from the Merchant Royal, but that doesn't mean it did. The hunt continues. We don't know as much as we'd like to know about the ancient cultures of the Andes, but we do know that they included some incredible craftspeople. The evidence of that is right here in this fox-shaped headdress, which is currently on display inside the Indiana University Art Museum in the United States of America. While the provenance of the artifact isn't as clear as it would ideally be, most experts agree that it's a product of the Mokka culture. The pictures you can see here don't do the headdress justice. It's a gorgeous piece made from a mixture of silver, copper, and polished seashells. The Mokka people divided their armies up into groups of warriors based on status, with each classification associated with a different animal. The fox class was one of the army's upper tiers, and the right to wear this headdress would have been reserved explicitly for warriors of that class. It's probably far from the most practical piece of headgear to head out onto a battlefield with, but at least you could look fabulous while going about your days slaying. The Spanish galleon ship Nuestra Señora de Atocha was supposed to be a reliable trading vessel during the 17th century, but it proved to be anything but. She needed 2 sets of repairs performed before she was even able to depart Cuba on her first ever voyage in 1620, and she didn't survive for very long. She made it to her native Spain and set off on a return trip to Colombia and back. She got to Colombia but never completed the return leg. Having made the ill-advised decision to sail past the coast of Florida during the hurricane season in 1622, she hit a squall and sank, taking her treasures with her. It wasn't until 1985 that she was found again by Mel Fisher, and all her treasures were still on board. Now, some of those treasures have been given up for auction, including the beautiful Atocha Emerald, which prestigious auction house Sotheby's estimates to have a value of around $250,000 on its own. That's just one of the dozens of precious items that came out of the water, including a beautiful gold and emerald ring with a rectangular cut stone that was found in 2011. Our next hidden treasure discovery doesn't go back thousands of years. In fact, it barely goes back 10. That doesn't mean it isn't incredible, though. It's a treasure chest that was deliberately placed in a secret location in the New Mexico part of the Rocky Mountains by artist and antique dealer Forrest Fenn in 2009 for no other reason other than the fact that he wanted to create a mystery. He then left a clue to its location in a book of poetry he wrote. It took over a decade for someone to pick up on the hint, but now it's been done, and although Mr. Fenn has been contacted by the lucky explorer, the explorer himself wishes to remain anonymous. Perhaps that isn't surprising. It's generally understood that the combined value of the treasures inside the chest, which are thought to contain some rare and valuable works of art along with precious gemstones, exceeds $1 million. More than 250,000 people came looking for the treasure during the time it was hidden, so the clues can't have been easy to follow if only one of them ever made it. Treasure discovery laws in the United Kingdom mean that anything of value found by amateur or professional archaeologists usually becomes the property of the Crown. But you can buy your discoveries back from the Queen at the right price. The island of Jersey did just that in December 2021 when it bought the largest hoard of Iron Age coins ever discovered in the world back from the Queen at a price of £4 million. Funding for the deal came from money seized from criminals. There are 69,347 coins in the hoard, which were found underneath a hedge in Jersey and were initially estimated to be worth around £10 million. It seems that the Queen sold the 2,000-year-old coin collection to the island at a bargain price. The coins are now known as the Le Catillon II Hoard, and now that the deal has gone through, they'll remain on the island of Jersey in the care of Jersey Heritage. The island's authorities consider them to be a part of their cultural history and say that they provide a rare insight into life on the island during the time of Christ. What's now known as the Shrewsbury Hoard was discovered in Shrewsbury, England in October 2011. At the time, it was one of the largest and most significant Roman coin discoveries in British history. More than 9,000 coins were found in total, all of which were discovered by amateur metal detectorist Nick Davies, who was new to the hobby at the time of his lucky break. Most of the coins were still inside the enormous ceramic pot they were buried within, although some had begun to spill out of the sides. Most of the coins are bronze numi, which were common coins of the 3rd century, and the total amount inside the pot is equivalent to about a year's salary for a Roman legionary soldier. For those reasons, historians think that the pot might represent the equivalent of somebody's life savings. The most recently minted coins were created between the years 333 and 335, with the coins at the bottom of the pot being around 10 years older than that, so it's apparent that the collection was built up very slowly over several years. An experienced archaeologist will see dozens of tombs during their career, so it's worth paying attention when one of them describes a tomb as exceptional. In March 2015, this exceptional tomb was found in the Champagne region of France, close to the town of Lavaux. Experts say that the tomb is approximately 2,500 years old and was most likely built for a Celtic prince. If they're right, it proves there was some cultural fusion happening in Europe 2,500 years ago. The Celts mostly kept to their tribes, but some of the figurines, carvings, and other artifacts recovered from the tomb show ancient Greek and Etruscan influences. The burial mound is enormous, measuring 130 feet across the center, with the suspected prince buried in his chariot right at the heart of it. Chariot burials were considered a significant honor among Celtic tribes. But the chariot wasn't the only thing that this person was honored with. He also went to his grave with a variety of iron and metal goods, including a stunning bronze wine cauldron. Historians think the Celts probably didn't create such objects themselves, and instead obtained them through trade with their neighbors. We have another fabulous find from Jersey for you. More than 2,000 years ago, somebody living on the tiny English Channel island of Jersey hid 50,000 coins from the advancing Roman Empire by burying them. In 2012, the coins were rediscovered by a pair of friends scouring farmland on the island with their metal detectors. Richard Miles and Reg Mead are now responsible for the largest haul of ancient Celtic coinage ever to be discovered in Europe. The coins weigh 3/4 of a ton and have an estimated value of more than 10 million pounds. Whoever buried the coins went to great lengths to ensure that nobody else would find them. They were buried in a hole more than 3 feet deep and stashed within a mound of clay. In fact, they were so well hidden that even the person who hid them may never have been able to find them again, which might explain why they never dug them back up again. It's likely that the owner of this vast wealth was a member of the Coriosolitai tribe of northern Brittany. The coins might even have represented the entire wealth of the tribe, but we'll never know for sure. A legendary treasure was discovered on Bulgaria's Black Sea coast in August 2018 when more than 1,000 gold and silver artifacts were found inside a clay pot in Kalikra forest. It's thought that this is a collection of loot built up over time by a Tartar leader who was himself eventually defeated by the Ottomans somewhere around the beginning of the 15th century. The fortress has long been an area of archaeological interest, as it's been held and fought over since the days of the ancient Thracians 2,400 years ago. This particular set of treasures probably comes from the final invasion of the Balkans by the Tartars. It contains more than 900 gold and silver coins, 2 gold rings, 11 gold earrings, a set of gold buckles, 30 silver and bronze buttons, and a few precious stones. Most of the coins are Ottoman in origin, but there are a few from the Second Bulgarian Empire. The pot appears to have been hidden deliberately at the end of the 14th century to protect it from Ottoman advances. It turned out to be so well hidden that it took archaeologists a further 500 years to find it. The infamous Copper Scroll was among the last of the Dead Sea Scrolls to be discovered at Kibbutz Qumran, Israel in 1952, and is by far the most mysterious of all of them. Every other scroll was written either on parchment or papyrus. This one is written on thin plates of copper, and isn't a literary work like the rest of them. Instead, it lists a treasure collection, and contains clues as to where the treasure might be found. While it's written in Hebrew, it's a different form of Hebrew than that found on the other scrolls too. Normally, with so much differentiation, it would be tempting to write it off as a fake, but there's little doubt that this is a genuine ancient artifact. It was written during the 1st century and carefully hidden away behind a collection of 40 jars. If this is the work of a prankster, it was a very clever and ancient prankster. None of the treasures listed on the scroll has ever been discovered. Toward the end of the text is a promise that a separate scroll contains more precise details, but if such a scroll exists, that's never been found either.
Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and enjoy watching new videos on my channel. Thanks for watching and see you soon!